Okay, he's been waiting patiently all the way from Dubai, online. He's become one of my dear friends, Mr. Frazer Brookes. Does anyone know this guy out there? He can hear us. He can see us. Let's welcome him on.
Oh, guys, I'm so grateful, so happy to be able to be here with you all. You know what? I was thinking before about the last time I was hanging out with you guys at Game Plan, and a memory kind of came to mind. It was maybe a bit of an interesting memory to share, but it kind of comes to the part of the day where there's a break, and I wanted to go to the little boys' room, and if that's what people still call it. But I'm walking to the toilet, and there's this huge queue of women, right? And I'm walking past them, and I'm thinking, they're waiting for the women's. Obviously, it's a break time, women's queue, at where you guys are, the Royal Pines. And I'm walking past, and I'm kind of like laughing, thinking, I feel lucky here. I've got no queue. And they're all kind of giggling towards themselves. And I'm thinking, what are they giggling at? Anyway, I realized why they were giggling, because when I went into the boys' toilets, the women weren't just in the women's toilets, the women were in the boys' toilets too. And I realized that, yeah, definitely in Australia here. Only in Australia will that happen. So it's just one of those random thoughts and one of those random memories that I have about being with you guys in Game Plan. There's obviously a lot of other great memories as well. But today I want to share with you a story. I want to take you right back to the beginning of my network marketing journey, when I got started, and some of the key lessons that I learned. And I hope that this the emotion of it kind of translates through the camera here. And I'll do my absolute best to be able to make that happen. And if I start drinking a lot of tea, throat is exhausted. I've been hammering these live streams over the last 12 months. So yeah, I'm getting there. Right. So when I got started, for those of you who don't know the basics of my story, I grew up around the industry of network marketing. I saw the hopes, the dreams, the fun, the funds, the friends, the freedom, everything. I was the perfect prospect, right? I'd seen my parents firsthand build a network marketing business. Imagine if you lived with Jeff Roberti for 18 years. You literally lived in the same room as he was building his business. That was basically me with my mum and dad. Okay, mum and dad haven't done what he's done, but they're not too far off. So anyway, dad asked me in, and I said no, because I had the fear of rejection, fear of failure, and the fear of public speaking. But the big fear was the idea of having the success so that I would have to hold the microphone in front of 5 people, 10 people, 50 people, 100 people. What would my friends think when I'm there on stage, like, hello, everybody, doing a presentation? They would think I was an absolute weapon doing that, regardless of the money that I would be making. So I said no for 4 years. And when I did get started eventually, after having the fear of missing out, right, I felt like I was missing out on so much in life. I only wanted to make $300 US dollars, $300 US dollars a month. That was it. Because I felt like, okay, if I do that, it's enough to kind of pay some bills and pay off my student loan after 3 years, which was a $10,000 student loan. My dad didn't pay my student bills. I had to do that. He was like, no, you will join network marketing and then we'll pay for it. I ain't just going to give it to you. He was smart, right? So then, and I thought, right, but it's probably not enough for my dad to go, right, the next trainer is going to be $300 a month earner, Frazer Brookes. Although I could probably teach him things, he just didn't, that was my mindset. And I remember kind of thinking, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? How do I do it? And I had no attachment really to the $300 apart from the student loan. I remember sitting in my dad's office, and my dad went through this kind of process with me, which I want to share with you now. And you can do it yourself, but you can also do it to your team. I'm going to show the power of it. And it's called what I call wrap. So wrap a gift. My dad didn't do it exactly this way, but we're going to show it this way to you. So it's an acronym. I love acronyms. If you followed me for a while, you'll know that if you give me an acronym training, I'm all yours. So the W stands for wish. So my dad said to me, he said, right, okay, Frazer, let's go short term. Let's imagine that you're in the movie Aladdin and you're walking through the desert, and all of a sudden you spot a lamp in the distance, a little glimmer of light. You run over to the lamp, you pick the lamp up, you give it a rub, and I come out of it. Right? I'm like, yeah, all right, Dad, this is a bit weird, but he comes out of it. He said, I'm going to grant you one wish. What's the wish going to be? And I thought about it. I was like, loads of money, loads of money, just millions of dollars. And I remember him asking me the question, and this is where I believe the whole power of the why came from. He said, why? Why is that wish important to you? Why do you want to make millions of dollars? I mean, so I could travel the world. And why do you want to travel the world? Oh, so I can create memories. Why do you want to create memories? Because that's what it's all about, right? He said, and why is that what it's all about? Well, because I remember when Granddad was on his deathbed, he would say that, you know, his biggest regret was that he was focusing on his career more than he was focusing on his life. And he was like, okay. So the emotional connection is not all the money in the world. It's the fact that you want to do what you saw someone else who you love and appreciate and adore tried to do, right? You want to live your life how they wanted to live their life. And I was like, yeah. He was like, okay. So we started to kind of work it backwards, and I realized I want to just step. I want to have the vision of the big success, but I want to have the little steps. Just as if you were to climb Mount Everest, you need to look at the peak, and then you need to look at your steps. If you start looking in between where you're at and the peak, you're going to see the big clouds, and you're going to think like, no way am I going up there. You need to visualize the end goal, but you need to focus on what you're doing right now. So we said, right, what's your immediate wish? I was like, all right, $300. $300 a month. If I could just make $300 a month, that would be amazing. By the way, this is a new pen, and oh, the feeling of a new pen against a fresh piece of paper is oh so wonderful. So the R is for reward. He said, in this game, having the wish and the reason is not going to be big enough. You need to attach it to a reward. So when we hit the wish, when we hit the $300 a month, what are you going to do to reward yourself? I think it might be Tony Robbins. Linda will be able to correct me if I'm wrong. I think it might be Tony Robbins who says that if you don't celebrate your wins, it's basically like failing. That's not the exact quote, but he basically says you need to appreciate your wins, celebrate your wins. All right, cool. So reward. What's the reward? I said, oh, Dad, like as soon as I make that $300, I'm just going to take it and I'm just going to pay it off my student loans. And he was like, all right, cool. So I've got this reward, student loan. And then the AP stands for action plan. That's it. So how are you going to do it? I said, Dad, I have absolutely no idea. I have no idea how to make $300. I mean, I know network marketing, I get it, all the training, but I have no idea what I need to do right now. So he gave me some steps. He said, right, do you think I'm capable enough to get you there? I said, yeah. He said, why do you think I'm capable enough to get you there? I was like, well, you've done it. You've made millions. He was like, okay, so are you going to listen to me? I said, yeah. He said, there are 4 C's to succeeding in network marketing. I said, oh, go on, Dad. What are they? Right? You could tell by this time he was getting really excited that he was teaching and mentoring his son. So I was just like feeding his kind of celebration and happiness and all this. So he said, you've got to be consistent. I was like, I know. You got to be committed. I was like, I know. You got to be coachable. I was like, I know. And he said, the most important one is you got to have courage. And he taught me something then. He said, you know what? Living out your comfort zone is not what a lot of people want to do. Like the average person doesn't like, I really want to live out my comfort zone. Make some noise if you want to live out your comfort zone. Like, yeah, like people don't. But if you look back, if you ask Brian Marsh, Adam Westwick, the Golleys, and Linda and James, and all the incredible leaders out there, they will probably be able to pinpoint their success to moments of courage where they kind of got out their comfort zone for a little bit, spoke to someone on their chicken list, did something that they weren't like they needed courage to do. They acted outwardly on what they saw inwardly. They saw this superhero inside them, this $1 million income earner, this Club 100, and they acted on that outwardly. But when they're at home, are they living out their comfort zone? No. I've hung out with a lot of the guys. They're chilling. They're living their life. They're happy living their life. So the action plan was to follow my dad. He said, right, I want you to speak to this person, this person, this person, this person. I started to do it. And I started to grow. And first month, I hit that $300. And I remember being like, yeah, like, this is awesome. And then immediately I was like, my dad's going to ask me it again. So I went into the office, I sat in the chair, and he did the exact same thing. He said, right, Frazer, congrats, well done. Like, now I want you to pay off that student loan. And he watched me do it on the computer. I took $300. I paid it off my student debt. He said, how do you feel? I said, I feel flipping good. I've only got $9,700 to go. Like, woohoo. And he said, all right, so month 2, what's your wish? Now, you could see in his face, he was like, oh, you're going to go for a big number now. You know it. You get it. You've got conviction. You got belief. And I said, Dad, $300. And he was like, the same. Well, why not more? It's definitely not going to be less. So why not more? I was like, Dad, I don't want to make more. And you could see his like dissatisfaction and his fury. It was like, what? You've got off to a flying start, $300 in a month. Like, that's what you want. That was your wish. Like, surely you now know that the action plan that I'm giving you is going to help you grow. And I was like, Dad, I don't want to make more than $300. And he said, why? I said, because I don't want to hold the flipping microphone. I don't want to hold the microphone. He said, is that why? I said, yeah. He said, listen, son, I will never, ever, 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 ever put you on the stage until you want to. I promise you. And I was like, are you sure? Can I get that in writing, Dad? Like, can you write that down? He was like, and I set the wish. I said, all right, Dad, let's go. Let's go for $500. And he pushed me and he forced me to basically write 1,000. He was like, double it. You maybe have heard Eric Worre do the whole double it and double it again technique. My dad did it to me, just asked me to double it once. So it wasn't getting too crazy. And we wrote $100. And he said, what's the reward? I said, Dad, I'm still going to pay off my student debt. So student debt, student debt. I was like, okay. And what's the action plan? I said, to be honest with you, Dad, I don't think I've ever made $1,000 in my life. I was 22 at the time. I don't think I've ever made $1,000 in my life ever. So I have no idea how to do it. And he asked me this very, 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 very simple question. He said, Frazer, do you think you could tell the story of how you made $300 a month to other people? I said, yeah. And he said, and the second question was, and if you can help other people get to $300 a month, what do you think is going to happen to your income? I was like, well, probably grow. He said, exactly. That's all network marketing is. You follow the initial action plan, you create a story, and if you haven't got a story, today is day 0, and go and create your own 7-day story. It doesn't matter if you joined yesterday, didn't matter if you joined 3 years ago, didn't matter if you joined 17 years ago, didn't matter if you joined 30 years ago, everyone can create a brand new 7-day story. So just make the decision, right? You probably start on Monday, right? That's what a lot of people do. Right, today, I'm going to just create 7 days and just leverage that story. Hey, would you like to hear how in 7 days I was able to do this? Yeah, sure. I wouldn't mind doing that in 7 days. Not, well, yeah, I joined this company 32 years ago and I made $72 million. Like, whoa, it's going to take me 32 years to do that. You're kidding me, aren't you? Right? So, got this action plan. I'm just going to tell people who've joined the team and people who haven't joined the team yet, like how I was able to make $300 as a 22-year-old student with no hopes, no dreams, no aspirations, no nothing in a 30-day period. Anyone can do it. Would you like to hear more about my story? That was it. And I remember we were in the car. It was halfway through and I was on my way. I was so fired up. And I was in the car driving with my dad. My dad was driving. My mum was in the front seat. I was in the back seat. And one of my friends was in the car with us. There was 2 other cars driving behind us. We looked so flipping cool. We were driving on the highway or the motorway, depending on what you guys call it. We were driving like convoy, just these cool cars just driving like on the outside lane. I was like, I feel like this is what the president would feel like. This is so flipping cool. And I remember in the car saying to my dad, sorry guys, I'm super fired up about all this sort of stuff. I know I'm talking about my own story, but I'm just so fired up. So I'm in this car. I turn around to my dad, say like, Dad, just to remind you, like, I'm not on the itinerary. You're not getting me to speak. It's like, Frazer, would I really do anything to you that you wouldn't enjoy? Like, that we wouldn't agree on first? And I was like, yeah, good point. Yeah, I trust you. Halfway through the event, I'm at the back. I'm on the back row, thinking I'm cool. The whole back row is full of my mates. There's like 20 of them. That was an exaggeration. There was about 10. I don't have more than 10 mates. There's about 10 people on the back row, all my mates. And my dad goes, and I'm super excited about this next speaker because this next speaker comes all the way from the upstairs bedroom in my house. It's my son, Frazer Brookes. Yeah. And I'm at the back of the room. No. My mates all look up to me because I'm kind of like, they're like, yeah, go on. And I'm like, the exit door's that way. I kind of start walking that way. A friend kind of like ushers me towards and like sends me on my way. I start kind of walking and everyone's like high-fiving. I'm like, I haven't spoke yet. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm high-fiving people before I'm speaking. This is kind of weird. I grab the microphone at the very bottom, and you can visually see the microphone shaking from left to right, right? Like this. I just burst into tears. And at that moment, I just had this huge breakdown. I was like, it was just phobia just overtook me. My friends today still say, hey, Frazer, you know, when you go speak around the world or on all these stages, do you cry at first? And then I just obviously say to you, hey, what are you doing on Monday? And they say, oh, working. I say, all the best for that. So anyway, so I grab the phone. I've got my microphone. I'm starting to cry. I'm bawling out. And my dad kind of like puts his arm around me, grabs the microphone off me and went, yeah, we probably rushed into that, didn't we, Frazer? And he kind of like just shepherded me off the stage. I returned to my seat. And you know what? I was fuming with my dad. I was absolutely fuming with him for about a week. And then I realized, you know what? Power that did to everyone in the room. Like the guy who we're looking up to, the millionaire top income earner, has just got his hot new protege, someone who's crushing it, like in the early days, and he's just broken down on stage. If that's what they do, I can't do any worse than that. And I realized that, and I realized to my dad, I said, why did you do that to me? He said, Frazer, when I joined, the exact same thing happened to me. And I was like, all right, okay. So it started to grow. We hit the 1,000 every single month. I would sit in my dad's office and we would do the wish, we would do the reward, we would do the action plan. And I started to reach a stage where the comparisonitis came in. And I started to understand that you can't stop yourself from comparing. Stopping yourself, it's human nature. We always compare. You can't just automatically one day wake up and go, oh, that's it. I'm just going to stop comparing myself now. You walk down the street, you see another guy, different haircut. You're like, oh, his hair looks pretty good. Like, I wish I had that haircut. Look at Brian Marsh's haircut. Every single time it's on point, not a single hair out of place. I've got like 1,000 hairs out of place today. Can't fix it. Brian, send me help. Please teach me. So, you know, you compare, but here's what I learned. There's two directions in which we compare. I don't know what I'm doing here, but there's two directions which you compare. The majority of us look up to people doing better than us, and we think, wow, like they joined the business after me, they've got more success than me. They're just better looking than me. They've got a nicer partner than me. They've got this. It's like, oh, and the frustration kicks in. But you have to turn your frustration into fascination. And you have to look down at people who have, I'm not being like down, you look people who aren't in the business, who aren't SCC, who aren't, or SSC, I always get that wrong, who aren't NMD, who aren't even using the capsules, who aren't even using the megas. And you need to think, you know what, I am so grateful. I'm so grateful that I found this business when I found this business. And that moment that happens, you'll be flooded with gratitude and joy instead of fury, envy, anger, and frustration. And it was a big step in my business. So I'm starting to build this business. And I start finding myself, when I've got to like the $2,000-3,000 a month, I'm thinking, how am I making this money? How am I making this money? I'm literally staying at home. I'm not using my degree. I'm not using any like special skills. I'm making more money than a lot of the guys that I went to school with who have now got degrees and jobs and all that. And I started to get a bit overwhelmed with it all, because my dad sat me down one day as we were going 3, 4, 5,000 a month. And it wasn't, guys, it wasn't just going up and up and up. There was, you know, the rise and the fall that was going through it. But my dad sat me down and he said, right, today we're going to do something different. I'm going to do your wish for you, because I know you're going to need me. You're going to need me to get you through this moment in your business, this kind of season in your business. An event is another way how you can get through the season. A mentor is another way how you can get through the season. But he passed me a calculator and he said for me to write down a number. Now, obviously, I'm a lad from Liverpool. If you give me a calculator, I will write boobies upside down on the calculator. So I wrote it on the calculator, showed it to my dad. I was like, ha, Dad, look at that. And he's like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyway, so then he said, right, I want you to write down 8,834 on the calculator. I said, 8,834, okay. and then times it by 12. And it came out at just over $100,000. And I'm like, that's not how much you want me to make in a month. He was like, no, in a year. I was like, Dad, I don't know anyone making $100,000 a month. How the hell can I do that? How the hell can I do that? And he said, Frazer, inconvenience exposes commitment. Is this going to be an inconvenience for you? Because inconvenience exposes commitment. I said, no. Like, I'll make it happen. I don't know how to do it. So he said, Frazer, 100,000 is the wish. What are you going to reward yourself when you make the 100,000? So I gave him what I wanted to do. I paid the student debt off that at that time. And then what's the action plan? I said, Dad, I have absolutely no idea. I have no idea how to make $100,000 a year. I don't know anyone apart from you who makes $100,000 a year. What the flipping heck do I do? And he asked me the exact same two questions as when I wanted to get to $1,000. Frazer, do you think you could tell people the story of how you got to $300 in 30 days? I said, yeah. And he said, if you help enough people get to $300 a month, do you think eventually in time, you'll be able to get to $100,000 a year? I was like, yeah. He said, that's all you have to do. Oh, why is it any different? Why is it any different at helping someone else get to $300 a month than it is to you? I was like, yes, fair point, Dad. Like, go on then, let's give it a go. And about a week after we'd had that conversation, a friend of mine who was in the team, he was one of my top leaders. His name is Sergey. Some of you guys have heard me talk about the Sergey story. And he basically said, listen, there's an event happening in Ulan-Ude, which is on like the east far of Russia. So much so if you get like a Google map, you just keep going that way and you'll eventually find it. I said, Sergey, I am not going to Russia. Like every man in Russia is like that Ivan Drago of Rocky IV. Like, I'm not interested. Like, nah, it's freezing over there. Like, I don't even own a coat. Like, I'm not doing it. And my dad was on the other side of the conversation. He said, Frazer, inconvenience exposes commitment. I said, Dad, there's like 20 people in the east side of Russia. It will take us a day to get there. It'll be freezing cold. They don't have KFC or Macca's, I think you guys call it. They don't have KFC or Macca's. I'll be eating like fish, like on just like raw fish on a table, not sushi, just like bang, there's the fish with me hands like Gollum off Lord of the Rings with bones flying out. I'll be doing all that for 20 people in a room. He said, Frazer, inconvenience exposes commitment. I was like, all right, screw it, let's do it. So went over to Ulan-Ude, did the event. There was 18 people. I was like, woo, 18 people, let's get fired up. No one speaks English. So I'm like going, hello, my name is Frazer. Привет, меня зовут Frazer Brookes. I live in Liverpool. Я живу в Liverpool. Yeah. And it was like, what? It was just crazy. On the way back, we stopped off in Moscow. At that event, the translator in Moscow was Svetlana, my now wife. The fact that this inconvenience, I was like, nah, I'm not going there for 20 people. 20 people, I'm not going over to Ulan-Ude for 22. Are you kidding me? Me getting outside of my comfort zone, me doing that, helped me find my flipping wife. Network marketing helped me find my wife. My fear of rejection, failure, speaking in public, helped me find my wife. Like, how is that even possible? But in some ways, it got a whole lot better. In some ways, right? In the business side, because now I had motivation to keep going back to Moscow. So I left Svetlana. I was back in Liverpool, and I was traveling from Liverpool to Moscow to be with Svetlana. And I had motivation. I wanted to build a business in Moscow. So I started to grow an organization in Moscow, teaching a lot of these principles. And one day on the second or third, I think it was the third meeting we did, we had this event, 35 people, all Russian, like in between the ages of like 50 to 60-ish. We've got this kind of demographic there. And in walks in this woman, and she, like, her hair's like kind of like, to be fair, it's probably just similar to mine. Her hair's like the kind of like bowl head, you know, when when you're younger, you just put a bowl on your head and then you just cut around it. Like, that was the kind of haircut that she was rocking. These like kind of geeky glasses. To be honest with you, she just reminded me of me, to be fair. These like geeky glasses, fashion sense, no fashion sense, walks in, kind of like takes her seat, and she's just making notes really quietly. And for some reason, I saw her and I was like, there's something about her. Like, I don't know what it was. Maybe I saw myself, my introverted, shy self of when I first started and had all these fears and low ambitions of myself. And at the end, I couldn't stop. For those of you who've spoken in front of like a group of people, you don't look at everyone. You just kind of spot like 3 or 4 people. You just kind of spot. And I just kept going to her. I don't know what it is. And I saw her kind of open up at the event, and like she just kind of transformed. You could see the light inside of her grow. It was kind of a bizarre feeling. And at the end, she comes over, asks me for a question. I mean, she asked me a question like, "Can I take a photo?" I don't understand what she's saying, but she's doing like this, and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, sure." Still find it weird when people ask me for photos, but I'll do it. So I'm like, "Yeah, there we go." Like, open mouth selfie, open mouth selfie, or photo all the time. Like, yeah. And then she starts asking me questions, and I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. Ja nie говорит по-русски." That's all I knew. Like, I don't know how to speak Russian. Like, I don't speak Russian. And I turn my back. I go to look and find Sergey because he speaks English and Russian. And I straight away realized, convenience exposes commitment. So I turned around and was like, listen, I'll find someone who can help us translate. So I found Svetlana. She was at the event still. And this is a different event from the first one, but found her and I said, hey, can you help me like answer these questions? And she asked one. Blah, 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 blah. Svetlana then goes, blah, 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 blah. I then go, blah, 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 blah. Svetlana then translates it back. Blah, 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 blah. She then asks another question. Blah, 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 blah. Svetlana translates it. Blah, 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 blah. And I answer it. Blah, 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 blah. And all that I was doing in my head was, I really can't be arsed with this. Like, can't be bothered with this. I really can't be bothered with it. This is just a nightmare. Like, I don't even know if it's getting translated through. Like, are we losing some of it? Like, is the jokes translating? Is like the energy translating? Like, she's just going da instead of like, yeah, wow, woo. She's da. I'm thinking, like, this is impossible. But I saw something inside of it, and I can't explain. You'll know it when you see it. She just wanted to soak everything up. You could see the hunger and desire. That was it, right? You could just see it. And I just turned around to her and said, you know what? Are you prepared to be coachable? She said, da. Committed? Da. Consistent? Da. And are you prepared to take the courage in order to do what I do? And she was like, da. And I was like, are you sure? Said, da. I said, okay. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., meet me at the hotel lobby, the hotel. So we exchanged details. She met me there. I met her every morning for 3 days in a row. We spoke from 8 a.m. till about 6 p.m., 3 days back to back. And I just gave her everything. I taught her, what's your wish? What's your reward? What's the action plan? She was making notes. She was asking questions. Svetlana was translating it. It was amazing. It was just like, bam, 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 bam. And I could see myself transferring myself into her because I'd identified the hunger and desire. She'd attended an event. She'd asked questions. I'd asked her, hey, are you going to be coachable, committed, consistent, and take the courage? She was like, yes, I am. So she started doing the work. If she hadn't attended the meeting at 8 a.m., I wouldn't have trained her. But she did. I gave her an appointment. That was her first assignment. And this is what you need to be able to do in order to be able to identify the people. You need to give them an activity-based assignment that anyone can do. Because if it's a results-based assignment, if I said to her, hey, get to $300 a month and then I'll entertain you, darling, like she ain't going to be interested. So I'm going to give her the assignment. Then I'm going to hold her accountable to make sure that she does it. So in our example, it was get to this place, get to this hotel at 8 a.m. If she wasn't there at 8 a.m., out, gone. A minute late, gone. She failed the assignment. Once she does the work or gets there, I'm going to acknowledge her. I'm going to make her feel good. I'm like, hey, you're here. That's awesome. First step. You'd be surprised at how many people don't do this. And those 3 steps will get people to take action. Those are the 4 A's to basically identify your next success story. So I leave after the 3 days. She starts getting to work, right? She starts doing the work. And I'm like, oh, she's doing good. Team of 5 people, team of 10, team of 25. Now I go over there. She's now got a group of like 5 to 10 people in the room with her. She's starting to like brighten up. She's looking a little bit sharper. Like she gets a proper haircut this time. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. She's transforming. I'm getting so fired up for her because I'm thinking, this flipping works. This actually works. Like, can you believe it? I've been mentored to me and now I'm mentoring someone else. I've always been told in success in life, you need to have 2 things. You need to have someone who mentors you and you need to have a protege who you help mentor, right? And I'm now thinking, I've got both. Yes, I've got my dad as my mentor and I've got this woman who I'm mentoring. I'm just getting so fired up. I'm getting so excited. And she starts growing 25 to 50 people, 100 people, 200 people, 250 people. And then she quit. she just left. And the frustration and the hate and the anger that I'd had, just tell me why you're quitting. Just tell me why you're leaving, because I felt like if you just tell me why, then I'll know it wasn't me. If you just tell me why, then maybe I can salvage it. And I realized, you know what? People are going to quit. People are going to come. They're going to go. And that was like probably about a year and a half into her joining. So it's back end of 2014, beginning part of 2015. And obviously I just kept building my business. That really affected me though. It really did. When people quit, I felt they were quitting on me. I felt like, I'm just going to make you successful. Don't quit. Don't quit before payday. And I was so angry. I just couldn't get over it. And my dad just kind of coached me through it. The phrase, people are going to come and go. You know, I think Linda shared before that there was 300 people at Game Plan 1 and there's 20 people at this one who were originally there at the first one. And just be the person who's always in the room. Outlast, outperform, and you outwork and you'll out-earn. If you outlast, outperform, outwork, you will out-earn people. So it's now, fast forward, it's 2019, December 2019. I know some of you guys were at GoPro 2019. So I'm there and I'm speaking on the first day. And I'm the last speaker before they do $1 million Hall of Fame, right? So I'm speaking, I'm doing my thing, like 27 minutes. Oh, yes, go, bro. Like, woo. Do my thing, high energy. I'm jet lagged. I've got the energy. I'm like, go, 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 go. I give the presentation, come off backstage. I'm getting all the high fives from everyone backstage. I'm like, oh my God, did that really just happen? Like, it was the second time I spoke there, but like, I was like, that was amazing. Like, I'm so fired up. Like, where's Taylor Swift's green room? Like, I want to go find that. So I'm back there for a bit. And then I come from backstage out into the audience. And again, everyone's high-fiving and you're like, you know, respecting the people speaking, but they're doing the $1 Million Hall of Fame. And 15 people walked across the stage claiming their $1 million verified income award. 13 men and 2 women. I was like, where are the women at? So I'm just celebrating. I'm like, yeah, woo, celebrate other people how you want to be celebrated. Like woo, yeah, go, 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 well done, woo, great. Just like that. And at the end, the $1 Million Hall of Circle event kind of ended. And at the end, there was like a VIP party. VIPs, super VIPs, the speakers, $1 Million Hall of Fame earners, all in this room. There's about 200 people there. And I'm drinking away. I'm probably just sparkling water and a slice of lime to spice it up. So I'm just there drinking away with a couple of friends, and someone taps me on the shoulder and says, someone wants you. Like, someone's looking at you, like coming towards you. About 50 yards away, there's this woman, mid-50s, high heels, and she's kind of like running over to me like this sort of moment. Like, she looks like she's half falling, half running, super excited. Like, her face is just lit up, and I'm like, oh God, 3, 2, 1, like going for the hug. And she's like, I'm just getting hugged so tight. So, I'll never forget how this felt. So tight. And I'm thinking, geez, man, like, whoa, let me go. I'm losing blood circulation to my head. My head's going to fall off in a second. And she just whispers, like, basically says into my ear, spasiba, spasiba, spasiba. And I was like, Russian. So I let go of her. I look into her eyes. This woman, she looked smoking hot. She had the contact lenses in, her hair was all good. And it was Olga. It was Olga, the woman from 2013-14. And I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, how? I've not seen or heard from you for like 5 years, 4 years. Like, where have you been? And she said, look. And she showed me her $1 Million Hall of Fame award. What happened? And she told me that she quit because she went through some issues with her family. Don't want to go into it too much, but she had some issues with her family. She rejoined the industry 2 years later and became the #1 income earner in her company. And she was saying, again, it was still all translated. It felt like we were going back in time. She said to her son-in-law, I took what you taught me in those 3 days and we built our entire business based on what you taught me. And if you hadn't have been there for me, I would have quit and I would never have changed my life and the lives of people all around me. And you know what? It made me realize I only joined this business for $300 a month. I only joined this business for $300 a month. And years after I just made that decision, after saying no for 4 years, there was a woman over there making, in Russia, where the average income is pennies, making $1.4 million a year. And the point of why I'm telling you this, don't limit your own dreams and goals because you're only limiting the dreams and goals of other people in your team. Don't do it. If you have the $300 goal, start raising it. Get around the people, the environment, the events, the mentorship, so that you can start to expand that. Now, you know what? I'm worth more than $300 a month. You know what? Our products, the products deserve me to make more than $300 a month. If I'm only making $300 a month, it means I'm not telling people about these amazing products. And if I'm not telling people about these amazing products, then I'm doing them a disservice if I truly believe in it. And if you don't truly believe in it, start to believe in it. Because this lad from Liverpool who's doing this online training with a pair of flipping slippers on and shorts, if I can do it, why can't you? If I can do it, why can't you? If you start to implement this and this, if you start to understand what's people's wish, really go deep, find their wish, give them a reward, attach that reward to them, and give them a very basic action plan, the very, very basics. There's no reason why you can't get to the top. Network marketing is just doing the basics better and more often. Find the people in your organization who you feel are going to be your next leader. Identification is the key to duplication. Identification is the key to duplication. Give them an activity assignment, hold them accountable, acknowledge them. They will take action. The people who do take action, put the fuel on the fire and make sure you're working with as deep a people as you can. I am so, so grateful for you to listen and me rambling on with this story today. And I'm so, so grateful I could be a part of this and be here virtually in this game plan setting. I am so, so proud of what you guys are doing. I cannot wait to hopefully come back to a gameplay, a game plan event in person at some time soon. Let's hope that things get back to normal as soon as possible. Thank you so, so much, guys. I love you, appreciate you, and I can't wait to see the rest of this event.